Steve, not quite the build-up you had hoped for, I would imagine. Obviously, you had the prospect of a fabulous semi-final on the horizon. It's all changed, but is this one of those situations where very much you understand the predicament you find yourselves in and are very sympathetic to where you find yourselves?
Absolutely. I think football is obviously secondary to the situation in Ukraine. All our thoughts are with the Ukrainian people at this moment in time, and hopefully we can get a quick resolution to the terrible situation there. I mean, I'm sure you've all looked at the images coming out of Ukraine. Is quite horrendous, so football certainly takes a back seat.
We're all hopeful it gets resolved quickly. If the picture doesn't change by the time June comes round, though, what guidance have you had in terms of how they might deal with the semi-final situation?
I think at the moment, obviously lots of discussions going on, of which is most of it's above my head. All I can tell you is there's plenty of negotiations going on. There's trying to look at all different kinds of scenarios. The biggest thing for me is that I hope and pray that we can play Ukraine in June. That's the most important thing. If we can do that, then it means the situation is a lot better for everybody.
Does the squad that you've announced underline both the togetherness of the group and the desire of everyone to be part of things, even though the games may have changed, but also the desire of the players to be part of this fundraising effort that's coming up now as well?
Yeah, I think the initiative from the Scottish FA and the Polish FA is fantastic, obviously with the backing of UEFA to put on the match. UNICEF are involved, which will mean that the money will go to the right people. When you watch the images coming out of the children being displaced and injured in the war, it's a great effort for everybody to get this game on at quite short notice. And obviously we're hoping for a full house here at Hampden, because the more people that come, the more money we'll raise for the people that need support at this moment in time.
Just briefly on the squad, Aaron Hickey is included. Why is this the right time for him to be part of things?
I would think if you look at the course of the season and the way Aaron's played for Bologna over the course of the season, he's one of the standout young players in European football at the moment. There's a chance for me to bring him into the squad, have a look at him, compare him to people that are in the squad. He's competition, if you like, and he's got hefty competition in front of him. So it's a chance for me to have a look at Aaron up close.
And finally, at the other end of the field, no Ryan Fraser. An area where you're short of options. He has been playing well for Newcastle. Why is he not in?
I had a chat with Ryan. Obviously, there was a situation in November where Ryan didn't come with the squad but trained with his club. Ryan has apologised for that situation. I had a good chat with him. I decided not to pick him in this camp, and we've agreed that Ryan's club form going forward will determine whether he's involved in the next camps. The next camp's coming up, so basically it's down to Ryan and how he plays for his club.
Just on Ryan, then, have you watched him recently and the form that he's played in at the moment? He's played, I think, certainly some Newcastle fans feel he's played some of the best football of his career.
He's done well recently. I've watched him a couple of times live. I've been there. I've seen it. Like I said, I've had a conversation with Ryan, and we're both in agreement that this is the right way forward.
The football world has changed. I said the world since the last squad. Steve, how have you spent these last few months in analysing your players? And you've been pretty loyal to your squad over the last few years.
I think that's the case because the squad's done well. By and large, the squad of players have done well for their country. I just watch them, I keep an eye on them. Obviously there's one or two little issues within the squad. Nathan Patterson got a fantastic move to Everton that hasn't quite worked out for him. He's only had one start, 45 minutes, so it would have been difficult to pick Nathan for a really competitive game, if I'm being honest. But going into a friendly situation, it might be a chance for us to get minutes into Nathan's legs, which will help him for us and hopefully help him to get a more regular run out with his club. But obviously you have to be aware of the fact that Everton are in a perilous position, and I understand Frank's dilemma in picking a young player. So that's one of the issues. Having decided not to bring Ryan Fraser into the squad, I just found out last night that there's a little issue with Lyndon Dykes. He hasn't played for a few weeks. I had a good conversation with Mark Warburton, and we'll be guided by QPR and the medical staff. We're hopeful that Lyndon will be on the training pitch sometime this week and may be involved at the weekend. So that's one to keep an eye on. If it doesn't work out in our favour, then obviously I would need to call someone else into the squad.
What do you expect from Poland next week in terms of opposition? And it's a difficult situation for both teams. It's
difficult because for the last 4 months I've been thinking about Ukraine, Wales and Austria. And obviously Poland have come onto the scene late. What I'm going to use this camp for, and it's why I pick the same players, the nucleus of the players, I have to use this as a preparation for potentially a playoff semi-final and final in June. 4 Nations League games are also scheduled in. But I have to say that there's no way that we can play 6 games. So we need a little bit of help from UEFA on that matter. But this camp is for us just to fine-tune, look at what we did at the end of last year when we went 6 matches, 6 winning games. Difficult to do. We want to continue that momentum. So I'll use it as a chance to look at 1 or 2 things for what we might do in June.
Would your preference have been to bring forward one of the Nations League games to next week?
I've got to be honest, those discussions are above my head, and I don't think that was ever an option. But the most important thing is player welfare. When we get to June, in such a short window, we can't realistically be asked to play potentially 6 matches. That's too much.
In terms of you mentioned the potential semi against Ukraine, was still a very delicate situation. How would it sit with you if Scotland were given a bye to the final if Ukraine couldn't make that match?
I think rather than speculate about that, like I said before, I just hope and pray that we get a chance to play against Ukraine in the semi-final. They deserve it, and I think the world deserves that game to go ahead. So hopefully it does happen.
Does that also show how important these 2 matches will be then, in terms, because the last time you put together with your squad before these types of matches, I mean,
I haven't seen the players for 4 months. It's been a long break. It's a really long. It's one part of international football management that I find difficult is the break from November to March. It's a long break, so it would be good to get the boys together, refresh a few ideas that we've got, how we play, principles, and then we've only got a shorter gap, April, May, and then we've got the June games coming up. So it's important for that point of view that we get together and we get a chance to play some games.
Last questions, Gabriel. Final for me, one on this one in June. Do you have a preference as to if we play the Ukraine match in June, where the other schedules will fit? Do you have a preference of how many you could conceivably play in June, and then how many would have to be carried over?
I think the window is already scheduled for 4 games. I think that's quite a heavy schedule anyway. Now whether they can find enough room in the calendar to make more dates available and play 5 games, I don't know. But I think 6 at that stage of the season, when players have had a long hard season with their clubs, they need the rest during the summer. It's going to be difficult for us, but those are footballing matters. I think it's very, very important that we don't forget the human matters. Everything takes a back seat in comparison to the situation in Ukraine at this moment in time.
Steve, just going back to the squad, Ryan Jack back in for the first time in, I think it's a year. He's been really impressive for Rangers over the last few weeks. How big is it for you to have him back involved?
Delighted. Ryan was an integral part of the squad that qualified for Euro 2020. Unfortunately picked up a really serious injury that required surgery and took a long time for Ryan to come back. It's been great to see him back on the pitch and, like you say, back at a really good level. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to see Jacko again.
You touched on the fact that it's touch and go with Lyndon. You'll be in contact. You might have to call up another striker. Have you been in contact with the possible other players that might be called up if Lyndon can't play?
Maybe.
We'll just have to wait and see for that one.
Yeah, there's still a few more games to come this week, midweek and weekend, and then if I need to make a decision, I'll make a decision at the end of the weekend.
You're looking to give Liam Kelly some game time. You've got 2 aging goalkeepers, although they're still in good shape at the moment.
No, I want to play strong teams. If I get a chance to put Liam on the pitch, I might do that. But Craig's the number 1 at the moment. It's nice to get David back into the squad. David Marshall, who had a difficult first half of the season because of mainly the financial situation at Derby, and he found himself with a move to Queen's Park Rangers. He's done well. He's got back in the team there and is playing well. So it's nice to have David back involved. Liam and Xander have been rotating on the third goalkeeping position. They both understand the situation. They both know where they are in the grand scheme of things, and it'll be nice to see Liam back in the squad this time.
Craig's extraordinary, isn't he, at the moment? He's 40 this year, which is remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah, he's doing well, doing very well. Good form for his club. He's a great professional, Craig. All the goalkeepers that we've had in the squad, I know Chris Woods, the goalkeeping coach, loves working with all the boys. So if Craig wants to keep playing till he's 41, 42, 43, that's fine by me.
Steve, can I ask you a quick question on a related matter? You had a lot of success at Chelsea under Roman Abramovich. What do you make of what has happened, and also maybe the way that some people are now revising their opinion of some of the successes the club have had under his charge?
No, I think, listen, it's obviously a difficult situation for Chelsea as a club. The sanctions I wouldn't know enough about to comment on. Don't forget, most of my time was spent at Chelsea was under Ken Bates, who was a good owner, sold to Mr. Abramovich. We had some good years working with Mourinho. But 14 years since I left Chelsea, so it's a long time. The club now, I'm sure the club will be sold at some stage, and the club will go on. At the moment, my biggest concern would be for the people that I worked with at the club who are still there, who've been there a long time and are maybe a little bit unsure about their future. So hopefully they get a quick resolution to the situation for their sakes.
Is it wrong if people try and diminish any of the achievements, though, during his tenure at the club?
I can't decide what people want to think about the tenure of Mr. Abramovich at the club and what they want to do for that. The club was successful during his time there, and they're not the only club that have had introduction of money. Nobody mentioned Russia, Putin, when Roman took the club. I think Jurgen Klopp spoke very well about the situation. Nobody said anything when Roman came in, and obviously the situation has changed now.